We're live in Studio B here at Montana Public Radio. I'm John Floridis, and we have a special treat for you here during our spring fundraising drive, our spring fundraising week. We are very excited to be bringing you Mark and Maggie O'Connor live from Studio B. And without further ado, we're going to turn it over to them.
All right. Our new song from our upcoming album out next week. One sun ray at a time. 1, 2, 3.
One sunray at a time. Mark and Maggie O'Connor live from Studio B here on Montana Public Radio. What a treat to have you guys in the studio, being in the same room with that energy coming at me. This is just fantastic. What a real treat, especially during our spring fundraising week. Before we get any further, I want to make sure to mention that Mark and Maggie are going to be in Kalispell Saturday, April 20th at the Wachold Center, McLaren Hall with the Glacier Symphony, 7:30 p.m. You can find out more information going to either the Glacier Symphony website. No, your website, markoconnor.com, has got ticket information there at as well. So much stuff to talk about. We don't want to get too far into the weeds with too much conversation. We want to have plenty of music, but I know that we talked about this earlier. Mark has been on Musician Spotlight a couple of times.
Yeah.
Most recently, I should say a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't that soon, but it was a couple of years ago. We did a phone conversation, and going way back, maybe 20 years ago, playing with the Missoula Symphony.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We did an interview, I think post-show or something, over at the Holiday Inn here in Missoula.
Yeah.
But great to have you back in the studio playing music for us and being a
Wow.
part of this whole thing. Let's real quick talk about that song. I know this is a real important song. It's a single from the new album, and let's open it up to talk about that.
Yeah, so we've got a new album coming featuring Mark and Maggie O'Connor
It's out April 26th.
next week, and we've got some advance copies here at the Studio B. Montana Public Radio. It's great to be playing live for you all. But yeah, we've got some bunch of new songs, original songs. That one right there is one I wrote for the album about watching my daughter grow up. Wrote it when she was around 10, but the first verse deals with her as a little girl, and then as she's growing up, heading towards college. So that's for all the parents out there who are watching daughters grow up.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I know we're going to eventually have to go back to some pitch breaks, but let's hear one more song before we do that.
Yeah. Okay. This is one that I co-wrote with the great Joe Henry, an Americana artist, and this is called "We Just Happen to Fly."
I stand below it, a deep cloudless sky, where once we stood and then happened to fly. We held out the quick diamond blade to the dark that ended its reign with yet but a spark that fell away clean, the quietest star, lighting our way to be where we are. And we just happened to fly. 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 I listen out now where the mountain is still, that echoed our voices when only a hill. When time could run backward and forward the same, as rivers slip free of the shape in their name, and rocked us together when we waded deep, and carried us on to a dream beyond sleep. And we just happened to fly. 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 The memory serving us well will define the way that the heart will speak to the mind. It stands on the road in front of us now, the past leading on with what it allows of tomorrow and all that tomorrow's may bring, up from the well where we gather to sing.
Oh, I really like that one. Man, I'm stammering over here. I'm so struck with it's just some great things going on. Composition, the chopping, the space. Oh, that's just musically delicious. We're going to send it over to Master Control. We'll be back with more of Mark and Maggie O'Connor live from Studio B here on Montana Public Radio. We're back here live in Studio B, Montana Public Radio. We are joined today by Mark and Maggie O'Connor. We're going to hear now the title track from their album, which is not even hot off the presses yet. It's going to be coming out next week on April 26th. The title track from their album, Life After Life.
2, 3, 4.
Get that paper off my stairs, voices all out of the air, calling as they do for kingdom come. Cheer the curtain rolling down, if all crawling on the ground isn't sacred work under the sun. My hat is standing upside down, for all the pennies have been found, raining all around your feet and mine. My cape was made of someone's rags, trails behind me like a flag. Surrender becomes victory in time. As life after life after life comes to show, and life after life follows where we go. Iron deep between our teeth, digging ourselves further in the hole, navigating by the sound, dear ones lost under the ground, fighting for their lives and for our souls. I never thought we'd come to this, but how not when every fist is striking from there just outside the door, where we've hit our beating hearts, safe and sound by fits and starts, that give out as a way of having more. As life after life gives away, and life after life follows no other way. Color drains out of the face of every clock, giving chase to its own tail ringing round this room. Words that once refused to rhyme lend themselves to any sign, calling for our better angels soon. Like a riot in the street where we pray with our feet, a roar rising by our very shoes. One fine morning drawing near, we'll give to each other's ear news that will remain as news, where life after life follows suit, and life after life chases after you.
Mark and Maggie O'Connor live from Studio B here on Montana Public Radio. Wow, fantastic. I'm going to say that we're definitely going to talk more about the concert coming up on April 20th, this Saturday at the Wacholt Center in Kalispell with the Glacier Symphony. But it seems like the transition now to be talking about this new recording. I'm holding in my hand a vinyl,
Yes.
a vinyl jacket of Mark and Maggie O'Connor, Life After Life. And we were talking about this earlier, that I'm having a little bit of a flashback, listeners, to when I was a young college student listening to the David Grisman Quintet, 1980 Quintet, doing the same thing. And now here we are 40-something years later. And this is a terrific, beautiful looking album. I know, Maggie, you did a lot of the artwork. Let's just talk in just real quick in general, cover a little quick in general. Talk about something you've been working on for undoubtedly a great deal of time. But just give folks a little bit of a layout of this album that you've been featuring music from.
Oh, yes. I mean, there's just so much influence into all of these songs. I mean, as you'll see with the Glacier Symphony, we have a very classical background. We also have quite a bluegrass background. There's just so many styles within this, the singer-songwriters and country, and there's even a Dolly Parton song on there. There's a Stevie Wonder song on there as well. But the theme, I think, that brings it all together is love. But it's not just romantic love, it's love of life, it's love of yourself, being kind to yourself, just these messages. There's even one song I wrote, a love of horses. So it's just things in life that just keep coming at you. That Life After Life is about just the chapters of life that kind of overlap and come at you, and just how to take that all in.
Embrace them.
Embracing them, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I remember from our interview a couple of years ago, you talking about Stevie Wonder. So that didn't surprise me as much as you might think it might have. Let's see. Let's maybe do one more tune before we throw it back over there to Master Control and feature whatever you guys would like to play.
Let's do the Stevie Wonder song.
Oh, that's well done,
Little
Mark.
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, so we were coming up with a lot of original songs during the pandemic when we were broadcasting from our Studio B, which was our living room, out to an online audience for 70 Mondays in a row. And so we were coming up with original songs and some covers that we kind of transformed into our Americana acoustic style. This is one of them. Stevie Wonder's Love's in Need of Love Today. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning or evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster, could change your joy and laughter to tears and pain. It's that love's in need of love today. Torn delights and joys in right away. Hate's all around, breaking many hearts.
Mark and Maggie O'Connor, live from Studio B here on Montana Public Radio. We'll be back with more music from Mark and Maggie O'Connor in just a minute, here live from Studio B. We are back live in Studio B here on Montana Public Radio during our spring fundraising week. We are with Mark and Maggie O'Connor. They're going to be performing this Saturday, April 20th at the Wacholtz Center in Kalispell, McLaren Hall, and this is with the Glacier Symphony. Let's maybe talk a little bit about what is going to be happening with that event.
Yes, we're going to do, we're splitting the bill with Aaron Copeland's Appalachian Spring, and two pieces of mine, two concertos. Maggie and I are going to perform my double violin concerto, and then I'm going to perform the improvised violin concerto. It was my final concerto that I wrote just a few years back, my 9th concerto. And so I've contributed a lot to American classical music, and we hope you can come out to that beautiful area of Montana, the Glacier Symphony in Kalispell.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's have you get right into this next tune, and I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah. Well, we're just at Yellowstone and enjoying the beautiful buffalo and the elk and just amazing wildlife. And it makes me think about the wild horses too. That it may not be in Yellowstone, but there's a lot of wild horses out there. And I've always loved horses. We wrote this song together, Mark and I, about the personal love of horses I have, but also what they've given to humanity over the centuries. We really wouldn't be here where we are without them, riding them into battle and plowing the fields. I mean, pretty much we owe a lot to this animal. So it's like a thank you song.
And I have to shout out Montana for this one because I have family, a lot of family in Montana. My dad is from here. So we'd come back over here from Seattle where I grew up. So the first horse I ever rode was right here in Montana, eastern Montana, in Poplar, Wolf Point area. And I've got some family, a lot of family in the Livingston area too, and all over. So this is for y'all. Ride Towards Home.
Dusty sun shadows upon you, the rock and the fire within. You are the earth and the world that moves me to forgotten places I've been. Wild horses, please get skin, braided leather roping cattle, plowing fields for the cotton gin. We thank you for your patience in mankind's long pursuit of happiness and freedom. Till then we borrow it from you. Wild horses, please carry me to a beauty that will always be, to a world I can call on my own, in an everlasting path towards home, in an everlasting path towards home.
We'll be back with more of Mark and Maggie O'Connor live from Studio B. We're live here in Studio B, Montana Public Radio. We're with Mark and Maggie O'Connor. Their most recent album is Life After Life. It's going to be coming out next week, April 26th. And they're going to be performing this Saturday, April 20th at the Wacholt Center, McLaren Hall, to be specific, with the Glacier Symphony at 7:30 p.m. And in a true public radio moment, as we're about to go back to the recording here, Annie Gard, Montana Public Radio royalty, walked in with an album that goes back quite a few years. Mark, talk about this connection here to public radio and the album and the whole thing.
I know. She's holding in her hands my first two LPs, one released in 74 and the next one released in 75. And she was playing them on the air in the 70s. And that's how far back that we go on public radio. By the way, so that's album number 1, number 2, and then, John, you're holding in your hands our new one. That's number 47 for me.
Okay.
47th feature album with right here, this time with Maggie. And yeah, we're loving it. I mean, of course, all through these last 30 years, public radio has played a lot of my American classical music, my concertos. I did the double violin concerto initially with Nadja Sonnenberg. So some of your classical fans and listeners will remember that name for sure. And then, of course, my music with Yo-Yo Ma, often played on public radio, but a lot of my American classical. So it's great to be here and celebrate the drive with you, because I know how important that is to listeners, to culture, musical culture. If it wasn't for NPR, a lot of my music probably would not get on the airwaves.
Yeah, well, other than the 450 country tunes that were major hits. No, that's very true. And I know that with all the stuff that you've done over your career, it's almost perfect music for public radio listeners. It's just, as I always like to say, the highest bar, the highest common denominator. Music that's accessible, but that goes a little bit deeper. And so, yeah, it's good to hear your connection with public radio.
You mentioned Winfield.
Right.
That was the home of the National Flatpick Guitar Championships that I won when I was a kid. Matter of fact, the second album that was released in 1985 has the live cut from me entering the competition at age 14 and winning. And they carried that performance, that whole competition, and they broadcast that on public radio. And so I got a lot of mileage from being a kid musician back then, being featured on NPR like that. That was fantastic.
Well, great to have two fantastic musicians in the studio, particularly ones with that kind of connection to public radio, which, of course, we are celebrating this week. Let's do one more tune to take us out. Mark and Maggie O'Connor.
All right,
Leave it up to you.
A song I wrote with Jim Parker, and this is about remembering to enjoy the little things in life. Spice of life. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a walk in the woods with old Mother Nature, the sound of the breeze blowing through the tall trees, the creek down below, singing songs I remember from childhood days with my mama and me. It's the gait of my horse as I sway in the saddle, the power that I feel when I give him the reins, the pounding of the hooves as he's climbing the hillside, full speed ahead, and he never complains. It's a movie that makes me cry like a baby, the ache in my throat if I hold it inside, the effort that it takes to fight my emotions, relief that I feel when I break down and cry. It's the spice of life that makes it worth living. Every mile I drive down the wide open road is the sound of blacktop, bumps and vibrations, the music I hear on my radio. It's the rattle of the pots and pans in the kitchen. He's begging me to peel just one more page. He's picking at my pie as it cools on the counter. Nothing compares to the first bite it'll eat. It's the worm in his apple he did not discover until he bit in and found it inside. The way that his stomach starts turning over, he'll figure it out that he's not gonna die. It's the sting of the bee as it clings to my finger, the fear that I feel as it's starting to swell. I can tell that tonight I'm tossing and turning, it's burning like fire, and I feel like hell. It's the spice of life that makes it worth living. Every mile I drive down the wide open road is the sound of blacktop, bumps and vibrations, the music I hear on my radio. It's the twist of the pegs, turning them to perfection, the push of the bow in a gentle straight line. The student is discovering, he's hearing that rhythm, how it all feels when he gets it right. It's the trophies that he won for being a winner, his medals and his photos hanging high on the wall. He cannot remember the dates or how many, just something he did, it was nothing at all. It's the spice of life that makes it worth living. Every mile I drive down the wide open road is the sound of blacktop, bumps and vibrations, the music I hear on my radio. It's the spice
Mark and Maggie O'Connor live from Studio B here on Montana Public Radio. What a treat it has been to have you live in the studio with us, particularly this week when we're celebrating public radio and Montana Public Radio. Specifically, we want to thank Chris Moyles for helping to produce this segment there behind the glass. Annie Gard for making a little cameo appearance here on the show. That was great. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in today. This has been another live broadcast from Studio B on Montana Public Radio. I'm John Floridis. Thanks so much for listening.